All right, so on our last episode, we had everything dialed in on the suspension other than alignment and fine tuning when we're completely done with the car. So now the goal is to get the engine running. Shouldn't be that hard, but we're starting from scratch. We have a fresh engine bay, no grounding points. We have AC lines to run. We have an AC compressor to install, AC condenser to mount one way or another. Finish up installing our fuel lines. We have our supercharger already mounted. We have a cooling system, intercooler, the radiator. There's a ton of stuff to do. So we're going to start knocking it out one by one. I want to hear this motor start up. It needs to start up. That's the plan. So we're going to start right here under the hood on this episode. All right, so now it's time to mount up the AC compressor. I don't have access to a Denso, so this is one of those super high quality GDP ones that may or may not last very long. Listen, I've got to work with what I can work with. So we have this compressor to mount, and that is going to be paired with the CRV bracket that allows us to run the single cam compressor, which gives us the ability to use the factory AC lines when attaching it. This we just refinished with a little bit of spray paint. We have some all new hardware for this. We're going to get this slapped on the car real quick and be one step closer to having air conditioning on a car that doesn't run. All right, so she got a little dusty. We're going to start over here with the fuel system. I had to change out my injectors because they just didn't work with this manifold. We're very tight in our space, and the manifold has a little different kind of recess cut out for the injectors. So we settled on these Deca style injectors right here with the radium fuel rail. And we're going to get that squared away. We also have my fuel system, which in our other videos, we have it all mounted up here with our return lines and feed lines down here in the factory location. Then from there, we're going to move on to the electrical. We have our Rye wire budget harness, and we're going to be feeding that in through this hole here. We had some of these fittings, I should say bulkhead fittings, for harnesses on some of our newer cars here at the dealership that we've replaced. So I utilize this, and I get this to fit pretty good in here, so we'll have a nice clean way of routing our wires in and out of the engine bay. My fuse panel is going to remain underneath the hood, not tucked inside. I want easy access to that. And the battery is also going to be located up here in its original location. We're going to get the AC lines plumbed up, I think about up to here, and then worry about the AC for another time. We still also have our heater core lines that are going to need to go into the heater core, which is not installed at the moment, along with our heater valve. Then we'll move up here to the cooling system in the front of the car. There's plenty going on up here. We have the radiator, which will be a coil rad radiator in this location right here. We have some nice radiator hoses to accommodate that. We also have the AC system that I am mocking up. I'm going to be utilizing the factory AC system, just not mounted with the fan in the front because I have clearance issues with my headers. And to go with that, we're going to have the heat exchanger intercooler that needs to mount on the other side of the T-bar, but behind the actual bumper here. So we're going to see how that mounts up too. So there's a lot of plumbing to do, a little bit of wiring to do, and hopefully it all works together and we turn that key and this thing fires right up. All right, so we're going to start by removing the bumper. We've already partially installed the MacLift bumper kit on here. So we're going to pull the bumper off, get it to the side, and see what we're going to have to trim on the back side of the bumper in order to mount the intercooler. I want to keep all of the grill so it looks nice and original up front there. So the minimal amount of trimming is what we're looking for here. So let's get the bumper off and then we'll try and mount up the intercooler. So that should mount up pretty easy. Maybe put it down a hair. Put some riv nuts on it. I like that. We got the final trim on the bumper done. I tried to clean up some of the cuts so it looks nice and clean. I just used this whiz wheel with a cookie, as we call it here at the dealership, and I was able to clean that up real nice and even. So next thing we're gonna do is mount up the intercooler, and we came up with, you saw with the riv nuts, that wasn't high enough for us because I had too much gap at the top and the intercooler was hitting the bottom of the bumper. So we went up a little higher and we were able to get these small brass tubing, cut it to size to give us a spacer, and then that'll allow us to mount the intercooler in the right location and give us a nice firm clean fit. So we'll show you how that lines up right now. All right, so you can see it's mounted with those two brackets, and this thing's pretty sturdy, and it gives us our clearance at the top, so it's not actually touching our bumper support, and it gives us the clearance at the bottom at the bumper. So that's settled. Whenever we move on to the next step of routing the plumbing, we'll have to put some hoses on here. We're also going to have to mount a pump somewhere in the system. So moving on to that, we have a solution for mounting the AC condenser, and we'll show you that next. I was having clearance issues on the way the factory AC condenser mounts because the factory AC condenser uses the fan to hold the condenser. I needed to eliminate all of that fan steel and everything because I was having clearance issues on these headers. So my solution was to make a different kind of mount that will hold the condenser at the bottom. So I used this 3/4 inch U channel. We put 2 riv nuts in the bottom here and some flathead torque screws, and then some rubber insulation on the top here to give it a nice, tight, snug fit. And we'll show you exactly how that fits. And I think it covers our solution, or solves our problem with a really good solution. All right, so I was having clearance issues on the way the factory AC condenser mounts because the factory AC condenser uses the fan to hold the condenser. I needed to eliminate all of that fan steel and everything because I was having clearance issues on these headers. So my solution was to make a different kind of mount that will hold the condenser at the bottom. So I used this 3/4 inch U channel. We put 2 riv nuts in the bottom here and some flathead torque screws, and then some rubber insulation on the top here to give it a nice, tight, snug fit. And we'll show you exactly how that fits. And I think it covers our solution, or solves our problem with a really good solution. So as you can see, we use these low profile bolts right here. This is the rubber insulator that's going to keep us, instead of having metal to metal contact. And the whole goal for this is I wanted to not have to do custom AC lines. Maybe down the road, if I want to tuck the AC lines, make it look a little better, I can do that. But for time crunch and trying to get this thing done in time, I want to use all factory lines, and that means a factory condenser. So that's why we did this. And if you look here now, you'll see exactly how this fits. It fits pretty good. Fits right inside there. Very nice and clean. And I have enough room in between here to mount to the front side a puller fan. So the fan will be tucked and hidden, and I'll have tons of clearance on the front side. And this being the factory condenser, all of my factory lines will work. So that saves me on all that hassle. So we'll have our dryer here. We'll have all the factory lines running just the way they would on a regular single cam, going to the single cam compressor that we have with the CRV bracket, and that should alleviate that. And here's also what we're doing to mount it at the top. So the top, I did the same thing, a U-channel with the rubber in it that fits securely on there. I made a little bracket out of aluminum that will mount underneath here, and that's about how the AC system will mount once I get this welded onto here. And I think that's about as clean as I can get it right now, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. It only took, you know, a few hours with some stuff from Amazon to make it happen. All this stuff I ordered from Amazon, from the riv nut tool to the aluminum bar stock to the U-channel to the rubber. Everything is, it's an Amazon build with good parts. So now that we have that squared away, you saw when we were setting up the fuel system on a previous video, and we made lines and everything like that. But last year, going to the tail of the dragon, our good buddy Tadashi needed a fuel pressure regulator, and we didn't have enough time to get one, so he took mine. So I had to go ahead and redo the fuel system again, not really make lines, but just get everything dialed in. If you can see here, this is the new Radium fuel pressure regulator. It's the same design as the other one, except for this top part. Instead of there being a lock nut and an Allen screw to adjust the pressure, this has a knob. It's almost like adjusting, you know, like, what is that? Like a suspension? It's pretty cool. Clicks in, gives you your adjustment. This piece here where the vacuum line will go in, that adjusts to whatever angle you need, but everything is pretty much where it was before. So we got our, this is our return line. That's going to go on right here. And this is our feed line, and that's going to go on right here. Now coming back to the fuel rail, I ran into an issue with the initial injectors we were using. The ID injectors are beautiful and they're great, but for this manifold, the plug for it was too low, and these sit deep down in the manifold, and I was having issues. So we went with these Deca injectors. They're 1000 cc's, and it gives me just the perfect setup on it. And if I'm not mistaken, it also means that I can get rid of my adapters that I have here and use these with no plug, which is very nice. I can use the harness straight up on here, no adapters. I call that a win. So if you can see under here, I had to make custom spacers. I used that same brass tubing with a pipe cutter and my micrometer, and we made these spacers that gives us also the perfect clearance for the fuel rail. Everything fits right where it's supposed to be, and I'm pretty happy with this pretty clean setup, and I think it's ready for the next step. These are the headlights I'm going to run. Only reason I'm going to run the Denjis is because it gives you a lot better vision at night. And since we're going to be driving these cars in the mountains at night, I need more than what the factory offers. And with the right LED combination with this light, we're going to get a lot more coverage when it comes to actual putting light out on the mountain pass. So we have a set of Denjis, and they're not with the blue or the yellow. It's just the regular projector. We're going to go ahead and get these figured out. These are a little bit more complicated because, I don't know, it's got this harness and all this stuff, so we're going to figure it out together. Trust me. So we're going to go ahead and test out the headlight. Mike's going to help me by holding it. We got our power probe, the Team U Special. And we're going to send power here. All right, beautiful. Well, it seems to be working just fine right now, so let's go ahead and slap them in the car. I line up decent. I'm not mad at that. Obviously, it's going to need some more adjusting, but for the most part, we got it in. We put some simple LED bulbs in there. We're going to see if that gives us enough light. We still got to do a bunch of aiming and whatnot once we get the car together and on the ground. But for now, I think I'm pretty okay with this look. Let's go ahead and throw the bumper on and see how it looks with the bumper. Remember, this got to go like that.
On.
Yeah. And then kind of angled.
Angled down. There we go.
All right, so we got everything fitted. And as you can see on here, I went ahead and installed the lip. We're still preliminary on the fitting on it, but for the most part, it fits pretty nice. This is the Osaka JDM lip. It's very limited in production, and I can't even find it on their webpage anymore. But I think it's pretty neat. Kind of has a Mugen lip style to it, but different. This goes with the wing that's on the back of the car. That's the Osaka JDM wing as well. So everything's looking really nice. We could see how the bumper fits to the intercooler. I wanted to make sure that I kept the grille because I do not like the look without the grille. You can see the headlights on here. We still got to get the bumper into the right place, but I think it's all coming together rather nicely. So we have the mid pipe for the exhaust. Not that we're even ready for this step, but in order to get it out the way and up on the car, we're going to go ahead and install it. We have the Cedar Ridge adjustable hangers, like I like to use on most of my cars. They are extremely expensive when it comes to hangers, something like $50 each, but they're the only hanger that gives you really nice adjustability, and for me, that's pretty important. So we're going to go ahead and slap this on. And there we go, we're hanging. Let me see if this thing sit. Get it up there as tight as you want, and then leave it as loose as you want to continue your clearance. Yes, it is rusty. Yes, it is old. But some may say the same about me. I'm still doing pretty fine. Okay. So, you guys saw everything that we had going on with the engine. We're going to take a little break from that because we got to get things situated underneath the dash so that when we finish this, it'll start up. So we roughly put the fuse box into place. It's going to mount in its OEM location. I repurposed a grommet for the firewall off of a newer TLX harness that we had in the shop here, and that has the wires coming from inside to the fuse panel and our harness going in. Before we tape this up and seal it up permanently, we're going to wait, and if we got to run any more wires inside, this is probably where they're going to go through. Then we'll have our battery box that goes in, but right now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the AC system. So we test fit everything when we did the brakes and ran the harness. Now I bought some new components for the AC system, such as an evaporator, expansion valve, and a new blower motor. These are more preventative, but also this car being a 1992 or 92, it had R12. So the R12 fittings, if you want to take a look here, are actually different on this than what it is here. So my lines were not fitting into here, the new lines that I bought. So I'm gonna put a R134 evaporator inside the box, so all of my new lines will bolt in. So right now we're gonna split this box, take out the old evaporator and put the new one in. So let's get going on that and we'll show you how that works. Pretty good.
Something was leaking here.
Oh yeah, look at that. All right, so here's your expansion valve. And these older style expansion valves you have to be extremely careful with, because this here is actually filled with gas. And if you pop it, it'll leak and your expansion valve won't work. So you have to be very careful when you're unfurling this and setting it up, because if you pinch it, you just wasted time and money. So you gotta always take your time when you do it. Or it could be like you. Just like that. Snap into place. Like a bonehead, I did not order a new resistor for the blower motor, but this one looks pretty good. I have a second blower box here. I am pretty sure this is the one that's going to go, this is the one that's going in the car, but this one's a little different, which on the recirc it has another flap. I do not know enough about these to tell you that this is from a certain model car or not. But this is the one we're going to use. I'm going to swap over this resistor because it's still in pretty decent shape. All of the coils are still there. The way this works is you get your fan speed by running your power through these different coils, which each have a different resistance, which draws load, or I should say amperage, off of the blower motor and changes your speed. So this is what allows you to have variable speed. Hence all the different plugs. When it runs it in through these three different ones, it gives you your fan speed. So for now, I'm going to use this one because it looks better than this one. This one doesn't look so pretty. So if this thing doesn't work, it will always work on high, and it's not too hard to change if I got to do it after the fact. And we're also going to be throwing a new blower motor in here. This is all Rock Auto stuff. Nothing crazy OEM, last one off the shelf. This, everything I've been putting in here replacement is just from Rock Auto. They're available. Aftermarket stuff works pretty good. If it doesn't, sometimes you gotta give it another shot and try a different brand. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and go with this. Time to fit this bad boy into place for the 10th time. Definitely had it out a few times. We gotta make sure this goes through the hole with all of this here. Then this stud is gonna go through the firewall. Is it through?
Yep. Gotta find the stud. Up, down a little bit. There you go.
Hold on.
Yep.
There.
Give me a sec.
Shee! One is strong.
Yep, that works. works.
Not bad. This one was okay. So we got our battery tray in. With our new evaporator, we have our lines. I had one new line, one old line. You see we got everything run up to here, all the OEM stuff. So that's the idea. We'll get everything else run across the front. The front end's gonna have to come off a couple more times to get everything right. Now we're gonna bolt in the fuse box, and we're one step closer to starting it. If you want to take a look on the inside, you can see we have the full HVAC system installed. Definitely a little tricky with the tuck kit for the headlight harness because it runs all of the old plugs inside here, so it's really tight to get everything behind the AC blower, but we managed to figure that out. For now, hopefully we don't run into a problem later and have to take everything back out again, but I think for now everything's moving perfectly fine. So we're back under the hood here, and we are working on the plumbing like we talked about. First off, we have is our plumbing for the water air intercooler. I bought this Mishimoto unit. I had another one that was all plastic. This one's aluminum, but it gives you the ability to put these AN bungs on here, which is what I had retrofitted onto the actual intercooler up front here. So I wanted to run AN fittings from the intercooler to here and then out. But once it gets down to the pump area in intercooler or heat exchanger in the front, that's just going to be hose with a screw clamp on it. It's all very low pressure. All we're doing is circulating water. It'll never go above 16 psi. So that's a pretty good basis for that. I also wanted to mount this about as high as I could to make sure that all the air bleeds into this area here. So as you can see here, I made a bracket. Just have a piece of flat aluminum that bolts to the back of this. This has 3 bolts on the back of it. And I put 2 rib nuts here on the firewall. And then I used some of these push lock. These are 12 AN fittings here, and they're gonna go on here. And then straight onto here. So this will be the general gist of it. It's all a work in progress. Now the other idea is the line that comes off of here and the line that comes off of here are going to have to go down into the fender well and eventually up into the front bumper. So what I've seen some of the way, excuse me, other shops have run this setup. They run the lines right through here and down through the hole where the AC dryer goes right here. I'm thinking we do something a little different. I'm thinking I'm probably going to run it into the fender well, drill out some holes in the side here, and then mount the hoses here so that way we don't see them all underneath the hood. Just try and keep some of the clutter down. It's not about tucking it, just probably the more efficient and less junk in the way. I think that's really what we're going after. You can also see that we've been getting our AC system under control. We got our lines run up to here, so they're all into the actual expansion valve. Once you saw, we already put the new evaporator inside. Now we have to run our lines over to the AC compressor. I fixed up this bracket here, and my buddy Kevin weld this together. This will hold the condenser here in place. We have the fan mounted right behind it. Everything's securely fastened and nothing's touching. That being said, there's still more plumbing to do because we moved on to the cooling system. And over here we have our bypass hose trimmed and made. Everything's extremely tight because of the whole supercharger setup. Our heater core, all of our hoses are run. We don't have any clamps on it yet. This was all just a test run to make sure how everything worked. Next, we're going to be putting our brand new coil rad radiator in. But before we do that, we're going to have to take the bumper back off and run our AC lines behind the condenser. So as also what you can see, there's plumbing happening for the valve cover. This is a valve cover I've had sitting around for a little bit. It came with this DTR catch can that mounts in this area. I wasn't sure if it was going to work because the AC or the cooling lines for the intercooler but I think we might be able to make it fit in here. We'll see. I have another idea for a valve cover. This may not be the one that stays on the car, but we are going to be running ports out the top of the valve cover here. I had plans of maybe running it over to a catch can on that side, but if I can make this work, it'll definitely keep things clean and the way I want. So that being said, this is all super custom stuff and we're just kind of trying it out. May have to move the regulator. We're making custom lines, but for right now, we're going to continue to plumb up this and also work on the cooling system. Probably, you know what? Mike was saying that I'm getting a little too ahead of myself over here, so maybe we'll go back to the cooling system and finish that up. There's a lot going on in my head. I'm getting a little crazy. Okay, $7.50. Oh, what do we have here? Another $7.50.
And total of 10 of them.
Yeah.
Money well spent.
$7.50. All right, new rubber mounts. Beautiful. Whoop. Beautiful. You have different options for how you want to run a fan on the coil rad. This option that we're going to go with now is an OEM fan. This is the factory fan. It is not OEM as in from Honda. This is a Rock Auto replacement, but this is how the OEM would fit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run this fan, all mounts in the factory locations. If for some reason this doesn't move enough air, I do have a Mishimoto Raceline fan that moves a lot more CFM than even the factory fan. But this mounts up really clean and nice, so hopefully this works fine and we can leave it like this. It's all where the factory plugs are and everything. So we're going to tighten this up and then fit it in the car. It's very nice. I don't have this upper mount yet. I'm gonna be getting one pretty shortly. So for now, we're gonna let this set. We're gonna use the radiator hoses to hold it in place. For the radiator hoses, I had bought a set of Red J's Racing, but they sent it for a single cam, so they don't fit. The diameter's different. The length is totally different. So we're gonna go with the set of Skunk 2. And that's going to be paired up with some hybrid racing T-bolt clamps. This is their set. Awesome kit. This is actually, when I called Skunk 2, the kit that they recommend for their hoses. Nice fitment. Works so nice. I love it. I have some of this single-sided rubber and wanted to put it here so we don't have any chafing. We put a couple rib nuts in to mount this. Let's see how it all goes. That rubber stuff is awesome. We've been putting it anywhere we think we might have a vibration. Ooh. We have our can installed. We have one hose made. We have our bracket like I showed you. We finished with our fuel system, and we still got to tighten everything. But this is about how we have it set up. Nothing clashes. Everything's out of the way. All of our lines work perfectly. We installed our throttle cable, which also came from LHT. I believe this is like a GSR throttle cable. They make this bracket that works with their throttle body on their S-tube inlet. So we got that whole thing squared away. And then we come up to the coil rad radiator, which we mounted it all up. Everything is looking extremely beautiful on this. I just was able to find this bracket for the radiator stay. That worked out even better. Then we went ahead and we installed the torque mounts on it too, which I had some spoon torque mounts. Those are in, so that's this bracket down here, and then the other one over on the AC. But now we're ready to put the starter in, and we have a, what is it, a brand new Denso. Beautiful, not even a remand. Very good looking. And we have a special appearance from some bolts from Mike's cute Type R over there. You know, I get the leftovers because I'm cheap. But this one's pretty simple. We're still waiting on our charge harness to finish get made right now. So we don't have the electrical connections for any of this right now, but we will mount it up. We got all the stuff you saw squared away underneath the hood. Now we need to pull the front bumper back off to do some more trimming and run the lines into the intercooler and find a way to mount the pump and run the rest of the lines to the intercooler. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this guy off. Get it out the way for now. Where our coolant lines are gonna run. So we have to run one of these up into the actual intercooler on, or the heat exchanger in the manifold. And then, so the other one's gonna run from the pump to here, and then out of here to the heat exchanger, out the heat exchanger to the reservoir, from the reservoir back to the inlet of the pump. That's the idea. So we're gonna start mocking up all that, and then we'll have to trim the bumper to make room for that. New O-rings everywhere. Nice. Not bad at all. Well, I know at the beginning of this video I said we were going to be starting it. Well, we ran into a couple a little bit more parts issues, so that's not going to be happening on this one. That will be happening very shortly on the next video. On this one, we've really handled all of the plumbing on the car and getting the AC dialed in, which is super important for me, especially being in Florida, and that's one of the things, car has to have AC. Well, with that line not working out for us from the original line that was on the car, it goes from the evaporator up to the front here. R12 has different fittings, not where it goes in there, but where my other lines come together up front. So we're sourcing parts for that. We got also the plumbing pretty much set up on our fuel and the intercooler system. Definitely some great stuff. I think we made a ton of progress. The next upcoming things are gonna be finishing the plumbing up through the front, finalizing our catch can placement. We have a new valve cover coming, and we have to continue to mount all of the intercooler, the pump, wire in the pump. There's a lot of wiring to come. I think that's what our next video is going to have a lot more to do with, is wiring it. And as soon as the wiring's set, we're going to be getting this thing started. We also have a really cool charge harness and negative and positive battery cables and ground kit coming from Run Hard Industries. Pretty awesome custom setup. We did something kind of neat with the battery. We'll show you guys all about it. But for now, that's what we got going on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check back on our next one because we got a lot more good stuff. And hopefully this car right here will do us some justice and beat all those 300 horsepower K-Series out there. But definitely like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. And we'll see you on the next one.